talking Memphis wrestling with Randy Hill and special guests.
Somebody said something about the dog days of August is coming to an end. Hooray! It'll be a little relief for us. I'm Randy Hills. This is Talking Memphis Wrestling, and we have a jam-packed show. And to do it with me, before we introduce him, I want to say hello to our buddy Brooks. And Alexander is in the house. Hey, buddy, what is going on? Maysville, Kentucky's David Linville in the house. And Rhinestone Cowboy Glenn Campbell. Oh, no. That's Greg Campbell, not Glenn Campbell. What in the hell is wrong with me today? I want to bring in my co-host and my very good friend. He has been busy lately because he helped me on the AEW review show. He's been a little down in the weather, but he was in the production meeting. Hey, Greg Wayne, what's going on? Want to bring in right now. I think he's doing better. Our good buddy, Pat Trammell. Hey!
Hello to everybody. Hello to everybody, Mr. Terry, Double A, Greg, David, Eric Brooks. All our friends are coming in.
Mr. Terry Jones is in the house, and you go ahead and introduce, she's watching, introduce the First Lady of Team Hales, please.
The First Lady of Talking Memphis Wrestling, PJ Paniti Jatine from across the water. Always good to see her. Hey, Rick.
You have seen this notes on the show, and it is packed, it is loaded, and we should have a ball with this show, Pat. What do you think?
We've got a lot of good stuff to talk about and a few good things to see today. And it's as you know, I enjoy history, and we're deep in it, digging into the history.
Digging into
Andrew.
history, somebody says, and Tanner is with us, and he's saying, not saying hello to me unless he are. No, he says hi all, and I guess he wants to specify, Tanner wants to specify Pat, and I want to specify Pat too, because unless he is overweight, where did you go? Ireland and then Turkey? Unless you're way out of the country, man, you're as reliable as the day is long, as busy as your schedule is.
Well, this is a highlight of my week to be with all of our friends. It really is. Really is.
We appreciate it very much. I'm going to get some family stuff out of the way. And the first thing I'm going to talk about, a young lady very important to me. It is my niece, Cindy. Cindy turned 60 years old today. And we're going to put a picture of Cindy and me on the video screen for you to see. This was at her house around Christmas time. That Christmas stocking that I have, the hat that I'm wearing, I stole a long time ago because Jerry Lawler had let me borrow it at a onesie party at Jerry Lawler's Hall of Fame Bar and Grill, 159 Bill Street in Memphis, Tennessee. My niece said, and you'll say, how is a lady at 60 years old your niece, for Christ's sakes? It's because my sister was 18 years old when I was born. Cindy and we talked, as a matter of fact, when Adam came into the backstage room, he heard a little more family business than he would probably want to hear. And certainly, I want to say happy birthday to Cindy. Certainly, she's my niece, but with all three of my nieces, it's not that kind of relationship because it's more, we're the same age. Cindy's a year younger than me, and Tracy was born on my third birthday, and Amy was born in 68 or 69. So she's probably, I'm looking maybe 8 years older than me, but it's more of a brother-sister relationship. So happy birthday, everybody. Be sure to say happy birthday to Cindy. I'll let Pat say happy birthday to Cindy because you met Cindy and
I
her husband, Benny.
I did meet Cindy, and I met the rest of your family, and you have a great family, and I love being with them. Uh,
Everybody, Pat, and as I told you, you're going to have to explain this. I'll announce it, and then you have to explain it because the people are like me. They don't really understand it. Adam didn't really understand it. Tanner says I got a couple of 40 plus year old as nephews and nieces too, and I'm just 35. So yeah, that is pretty cool. So let's go ahead. My nephew Corbin, who got married on June the 17th, and he has a great job and he's a go-getter, and he and some of his friends are investing in a business, and it's on the screen. Pat, I just want you to just say the name of it, and then I want you to, because the grand opening will be Thursday, August the 31st at 4 to 7 p.m. at 2630 East Highland Drive, Suite B in Jonesboro, Arkansas. So for those of people scratching their head what a med spa and IV lounge is, go ahead and say the complete name of it and tell people briefly what the hell it is.
well, I'm impressed with nephew Corbin for his entrepreneurial spirit, but Onyx Med Spa and IV Lounge is a higher end for Jonesboro skincare and IV lounge, hydration lounge, and I have used that in the past myself. They do Botox for primarily the ladies and also some skin treatments, but they also have an IV um, area where you go in and you get an IV, just like in a hospital, stuck in your arm, and they put fluids in you, and you can get minerals and vitamins and all that. And that's exactly right, Tanner. And I've done that. I've done that several times over the years. There used to be one close to the house, and I have a tendency because I travel a lot and I don't eat regularly on a regular time schedule, and so I sometimes I have trouble keeping enough water drink. I drink a lot of iced tea and coffee when I'm driving, which is not good. So anyway, I like to that did me a lot of good. I agree with you, Tanner. But I'd like Randy. We have a our third continent is heard from today. I'd like to say hello to Robert Galvin, who's tuning in from the UK, the
All
mother
right.
country. Yeah, Robert, I was married in Bristol, England, and my people are from Saint Saint Giles at Cripplegate. So welcome.
I don't. Hello from the UK, Robert. We appreciate it. We'll get into the Memphis wrestling stuff, kind of doing the family stuff a little bit.
Dave, David, thank you for sharing about your nephew Paxton. We'll be keeping him in good thoughts, and I'm glad he's back in school and with his friends. And I hope this year goes great.
I hope it goes great as well. And I always love hearing from David for sure. All right, we'll reset and we're going to talk because I asked on the show yesterday, the Monday show, because I talked to you just like I talked to Adam on the way home. So my mood this is Saturday afternoon from a 1 to 10, with 10 being the best mood. My mood coming back from Hendersonville, Tennessee on Saturday night, what would you say, how fired up I was, and what number would you give my mood?
Oh, it was hard for you to stay in the middle of the road. You drove right by a Civil War battlefield. That's how amped up you were.
Well, that's not really true. Because I drove by by the city. I told you I saw the sign. I
Oh, I
didn't
know. I'm
stop
just
on the way
messing
there.
with you.
On the way back, I was not anywhere close to Jackson. I was at
Yeah.
the 170 mile marker. But anyway, simple question. Simple question. What
Very
was my
fired
move?
up. 11 and a half. An
Oh
11
my
and a half.
goodness. Oh my
You had a
goodness.
great day, and sometimes it's good to go see your old friend.
Folks, there's nobody better than that. I hadn't been in Hendersonville since August the 23rd, 24th of 2019. I've had car issues, mine at the body shop. Got it back today. Yay, Pat. Yay.
All right.
So I decided Friday night that I would get up. Ended up was we get up at 4, woke up at 3:30, got to Hendersonville, Tennessee, and for the first time in 4 years, my best friend Randy West and my sister by another mother and father. But here we go, a great picture of me, Diane, Marlon West, and Randy Dandy, the best producer, best cameraman I've ever seen. I'm sure I say that so much it'll piss Adam off, and I don't want to piss Adam off because Adam does a great job. I even said, Randy, I would love to have you ready in case Adam, because Adam missed last Tuesday's show. Would love to have you as a backup. And he said, I don't want to learn new shit. And so he don't want to learn new shit. So he don't want to do it. So he says, Randy, he said, when Adam's not there, you do a very good job. I don't, but he wants me to continue to do it the few times Adam messes up. That's the first picture. Then let's go to the second picture. That's Diane, Marlon West, and me with my Hales t-shirt in their driveway. We both look happy there. And here's the picture of Randy Dandy and me as well. So some real good pictures there. And here's a picture of them together. And by the way, yesterday, I believe, no, it was Sunday. On Sunday, Randy and Diane, Pat, I don't think you're there yet. Randy and Diane celebrated Sunday afternoon at a fancy steakhouse in Nashville, in West Nashville. They celebrated their 51st wedding anniversary. What in the world do you think about that?
I just let's see. I'm just doing the math. If I had a 51st anniversary, I'd be 90 years old. So I don't think I go get there. Hey,
Because
Ronnie,
you were older when you got married, correct?
I was 37.
How old were you when you had your first child?
Let's see, 30. I think I was 38, 39.
I think my dad was 41 when they had me as an unplanned deal, but ended up good for me and good for them too. I hope he
I
was
was 40. I
41. My
was
mother,
42. I was 42 when Meg was born.
okay. My dad was 41 when I was born. My mother was 39 years old. Now, before a couple of other things I want to do, but folks, to prove to you that we have great video, we will see in our moving on segment part 2, we'll see Jimmy Hart throwing powder at Lance. Forgot about that last week. We will show the Blade Runners, the Freedom Fighters, the future Sting and Ultimate Warrior. We will show them turning heel on Big Phil Hickerson. We will also see the Master of Pain, the future Undertaker's Memphis debut. We will show Steve Austin, stunning Steve Austin, the future Stone Cold, Memphis debut. We will show some very young Jeff Jarrett stuff. We will show Rock's first TV match, and that is from 1996. Also show Kurt Angle's debut match in 1999. So I don't want people to go away, Pat. That's good stuff, you think?
That's good stuff all the way around. Yes, sir.
And one thing, Adam, I will be reading here, and I think there's the 1995 picture, which was just a great year business-wise for me. I made a post and I've got a lot of response from it. And it was about the year 1995 because the year 1995 has been a long time ago. And then listen to this as close as you can, Pat, and try to get some comments and questions from it. And it's kind of lengthy, but also funny at times and interesting at times. All right, as we approach September, let's go back to September of 1995. At that time, I was promoter, general manager, and booker of USWA Championship Wrestling. RH facts from September 1995 as you look at that picture. Number one, no gray hair in sight. Number two, I was living in 1995 in the Madison area of Nashville. Number three, I was on the road 6 days a week, traveling most days with Frank Morrell and Whoopi D. Number four, we had just completed one of the programs and feuds that I'm so proud of. We just completed phase one of the USWA Smoky Mountain Wrestling feud. In 1995, when I was the promoter, general manager, or booker of USWA Championship Wrestling, I was 27 years old. In 1995, I made a huge mistake while being a promoter and being in the office, but living life like one of the boys. In 1995, in September, I was driving a 1994 new Cadillac. Number eight, even though TV ratings in all over were up, Nashville and Louisville were up, Memphis was about to crash with the Monday Night Wars. In September of 95, we were just a couple of years away. Didn't have a clue this was going to happen, but we were less than 2 years away from the USWA being history. Number 10, I didn't realize in 1995, within the next year, I would be booking Flex Cavana, the future, or of course it's Dwayne Johnson, the future Rock, and now the hottest box office attraction in America. In 1995, I didn't know that was coming into my life a year later. Number 11, I wish we could go back to the good times we had in 1995, and I'm truly thankful that I survived the year because I was doing dumb stuff. Number 12, I could not imagine at that time where I would be in life in 2023. Number 13, in 1995, I was getting to see Eddie Marlin and Lance Russell on a regular basis. Randy and Diane West were close friends. I was a Jerry Lawler guy. Eddie, Brian, Lawler, Lance Russell, all those people that's no longer with us were still alive during that time. In probably June or July of 1995, Brandon Baxter was hired by me in 1995, and the rest is history as he worked for Power Pro Wrestling, worked for the USWA, and he and I today are still real close. Number 15, in 1995, my grandmother, Ruth Benton, my sister, Judy Wise, my brother-in-law, Bill Wise, sister Judy Wise, of course, and my mother, Margaret Hales, Margaret Benton, Hales Davis to be official, was still alive and in my life. So that's just a few comments that I would thought would be interesting that I would certainly write about what was going on in 1995. So, any questions after that before we get into videos, Pat?
I just think about how far you've come and we've come and what I was doing and what everybody was doing. And it's good to look back on that. I mean, Randy, you had a lot of times, a lot of days. I think of what you've experienced in your life with wrestling, and I've envied you for that. And but then there's kind of the tough times too, and then you get through those, and probably sounds like no more pivotal a year, at least in your adulthood, than that year right there.
A lot of things, the good, bad, and ugly. I appreciate everybody from Team Hell's watching. We were so excited. Didn't have a producer last week with Adam, so and didn't have any disasters as far as technical stuff, but I did have one disaster. I started talking about Jimmy Hart leaving to go to the WWF, and we talked about that. And I had a video of what caused that mess, and it happened on Memphis TV. However, I got so excited about that, Pat. Absolutely forgot to show it. Jimmy Hart was born on January the 1st, 1944. He's currently 79 years old. Lance Russell was born on March the 18th, 1926, passed away October the 3rd, 2017, 91 years old. This video is from January 26 TV, and we'll talk more about it. One of the most famous things ever as we watch that video right now. On Talking Memphis Wrestling, he's Pat Trammell. I'm Randy Hills. Adam Dunn has his own video font, his own caption. We're all here today, and we're going to go back and watch The Lancer and the Mouth of the South right now.
Do you know how much is in this bag right here?
I know how
it's
much
enough
is
to
in
cover
it,
a whole
Jimmy.
bunch of. It's a lot of flour in here. It's enough to cover a lot of
Would you
people.
quit crying about it? If they get a hold of it and they use it, I have an idea who they may want to use it
That's
on.
right. Oh, that's good. See, you want to make fun of me because you want to see them jumping on me, don't you, Russell?
All I
Look,
can tell
how do
you
you
is-
like it on you? You look great.
All right, Hart.
You look great. Great, Russell.
Get out of here. All right, Hart, you're out of here. You're out of here. You are suspended. You better believe I can. I'm telling you one thing. I'm not going to put up with you around here anymore. You just...
You look great, Russell.
Hart, you're suspended. Get out of here. Lynn, will you get that stupid fool out of here?
You know something, Lance Russell, the only reason Jimmy Hart's doing this right now is because he knows Eddie Marlin ain't here to stop him.
Well,
and
he
nobody
stopped.
will take up for this stuff.
I'll do it
Why
if
don't
you
you come do it to me, big man? Bring it over here.
I'll do it to you.
I'll tell you one thing, Jimmy.
Right now.
You are suspended. You can believe it right now. You better believe what I'm telling you. You are suspended.
You're going to suspend me?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. I'm not going to be around here anymore working with you. You just listen to what I'm telling you. Hart, you think you're so cotton-picking smart. That you watch me. You just see what I can get done with the whole thing.
I'll tell you one thing, Lance, right now. We got something for Jimmy Hart coming up, brother. We got a surprise. And one way or the other, Hart,
Boy,
we're gonna put a stop
this
to
is
you,
the
Jack.
lowest thing you ever pulled. And anything you can do to him will be good. Jimmy, get out of here. I don't want to see you around here anymore. You are suspended. Now get out of here. You're just taking an opportunity. You think this Marlin's not here. Well, I can tell you something else. We got a little pull in there, brother, and you better get out of here right now. I'm sick of it.
Right now, put it on me, Jack. Turn the thing in or so, Jackson. He ain't man enough. You ain't got guts enough. Why didn't you so hard to
Jimmy,
stop you alive?
get out of here. I tell you, somebody up in here, he'd be over and run you. You are suspended. Get out of here. I don't want you here anymore. Get out of here. Jimmy, get out of here. Now, I'm telling you,
You can't suspend me.
You
There's
better
no
believe
way
I
you can
can
suspend me.
suspend it.
What gives you the authority?
You just
What
watch
gives
and
you the
see what
authority?
kind of
Well,
authority
let me tell
I
you
got.
what, maybe I'll suspend you. Maybe
You
I'll
get out.
suspend
All
you.
right, Jimmy.
Okay, I'll
You're
brush
done.
it off. I'll
Get
brush
out.
it
Get
off.
out. You're not brushing off anything.
Get
Get out of
heart
here.
attack, Russell. Okay, I'm with
You're
you.
done and out of it. Get out of here. I don't want to see you in here anymore.
You can't suspend
Dave, you want to
me.
get this
He can't
next
suspend me.
thing?
Classic comments from Pat Trammell.
I loved it that Lance kept his, and I know he did this intentionally. When he got all the flour on him, his glasses were covered with flour, and he ran around for like a minute with that on there, and it was great. It was just great. And it's such that is, I mean, Jimmy Hart was a weasel from the time he showed up to the day he left. And that was a Weasel Hill. He was the original, probably.
It was just something. It really
We'll
was.
say
Now,
hey to Julie.
Jeff Frog Wheeler says, did Jimmy know he was going? He knew he was going, and that's why he did it. But nobody else, and Eddie Marlin or Jerry Jarrett, none of the office there, and they had Hart run and Eddie Gilbert run the TV, so he threw that in, knowing he would be back for sure. And Todd says that is heat. And David Linville said, I also remember that Eddie Marlin informed Jimmy that Lance was in charge and he would had to serve his suspension. And Hart, of course, was not going to come back. He was fearful of going to the Coliseum and being around again, and just was fearful of doing that. So it was without Hart there. It was if Lawler beat Eddie Gilbert, Hart would gone, and he was gone for like 10 years, and that's what happened. Alexander says, would a Brey Wyatt be popular in Memphis? Jerry Lawler would have pushed him to the moon. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that at all. So that's just classic thing.
Randy, talk about what Lawler and Eddie Gilbert had to do with Hart leaving.
The match, because Hart had left, so the match was booked as a no time limit, no disqualification, Eddie Gilbert and Jerry Lawler, because that was the feud right now. And so it was, if Eddie Gilbert won, Lawler would lose town. If Eddie Gilbert lost, Jimmy Hart would lose town. It was a way to write Jimmy Hart out of the story.
Okay.
Last week on Talking Memphis Wrestling, we showed the absolutely crappy and shitty debut match from the Blade Runners, from the Freedom Fighters.
Wow.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate that match?
I'm just not over that, Randy. I'm not over that. I just again, I told you when I did a little promotion at the high school gym in my hometown. Some of the guys and I got in there when we got the ring up and wrestled around, and I don't think we were that bad.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad at all.
But it shows you people can learn, except the Ultimate Warrior. Sting could learn.
You know, Adam sent me a little production notes, and they had a Jimmy, I think his name was Tommy D's. We talked about it on the show last week. At length, didn't have any video, but we talked about that. He was a lookalike of Jimmy Hart, and he was there, and he was from Louisville. And David Linville says, whatever happened to Tommy H, a lookalike for Jimmy Hart? He was gone like a couple of weeks, and that's all that it lasted.
Tommy who? What was his last name?
All I ever knew was Tommy H.
Tommy H. Okay.
I just saw him more because I didn't go to Louisville in that time period, very rarely, and so it was just a lookalike, and so they threw that deal. As Todd said, would you say Hart was the best manager to come through Memphis? A lot of good ones in the early 80s. I would say the most successful one, I would think, but there's been a lot of very good ones. Andrew Calvin Jr., my friend, is saying hello, so hello to that. We showed that debut match of Sting, or let's call them what they were called, the Freedom Fighters. The Office News said, we got to switch them heel pretty quick. They did it with a tough son of a bitch in Phil Hickerson. And Pat, we're going to watch that video right now, so be close to that screen, because if you hadn't seen this, I think you will like it. And then you can rate if the promo and the angle was better than the debut match last week. They're still green, and here's this video on Talking Memphis Wrestling.
You've been at the top of the card yet with some of the top guys, with Phil Hickerson. And
Well, it takes a little time, Jim. I mean, this doesn't happen overnight.
Well, we understand we're a little green and new to the area and stuff like that, but when you take into account what we look like, our physiques and the rock-hard muscle that we're carrying, you know, that should add up to some of the disadvantages compared to, you know, the fat people, the king of all the fast food restaurants, Jerry Lawler, and Phil Hickerson. Spends his days, he never goes to the gym, never seen the inside of a gym.
Yeah, but he's held a lot of titles now. Let me make that difference right there, that Hickerson, and I have always agreed with him, but the son of a gun has been at it a long time, Jim, and you and Steve, I think, got to take that in consideration.
Title shot.
Yeah, I think they're probably in a hurry, Phil, and
Hey, man, I ain't got nothing against you, you know, and since y'all been here, I've been trying to hit y'all, you know. I've been talking to everybody. You ain't got no right to come out here and say, hey, yeah, I had to see the inside of a gym, and I'm fat, and then I said, you don't have no right to say that. Let me tell you something. You know the reason why you hadn't wrestled against Lawler and any, like Dundee, Mantell, myself, or Coco, the reason you two have not wrestled in them matches because you're green, and you don't know how to wrestle. The only thing that you know how to do, brother, is to pull them britches down and put them steroids in that booty. That's the only thing that you two idiots know, and you know it.
Where you're coming from. You know, this 22-inch arm, I'll put your head in there and smash it like a rotten
Man,
tomato.
don't scare me one damn bit, brother, because one thing about it, I can wrestle, and I can fight, and that's something that you can't do. You cannot do either one, and that's the reason why you're going to reach wrestling in the first and second matches the rest of your damn life.
all right, Phil, I think they heard it out there. I think they got the point.
You don't have no right to come out here and say anything about anybody, brother.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of rights. All the help and stuff that you can... That's right. Yeah, I'm telling you that right now, boy. Let's go. Let's go.
Hey, come on. Hey. Phil. Jim Hellwig and Phil Hickerson disappeared on me and up in the ring. Jerry Calhoun saying, get out off the ring to Steve Borden. And Hickerson dressed in street clothes, and here we go, Dave.
Well, I tell you, Hickerson in here going against Jim Hellwig. Hellwig with a forearm, nails Hickerson. And another one, back on the ropes. Hickerson coming back with a right hand of his own.
I think Jim Hellwig made the same mistake a lot of people do when they look at Hickerson. They think, oh, well, you know, he's not in shape or anything like that. Let me tell you, he's messing with one of the toughest guys you'll find around a wrestling ring anywhere.
Toughest one's ever been around here, and Phil Hickerson, and I think Hickerson proving that at the moment anyway. He picks Hellwig up and slams him.
Showed he could handle that 285, did he?
Yeah. Hickerson says, you know, working out in the gym with weights and building the muscles is fine, but...
Oh,
look out, Steve Borden in there. That's going to end the match here. Because it's now 2 against 1. Hellwig and Borden, the freedom fighters, with Hickerson back on the ropes. They whip him across the way. Double clothesline coming off of there. Now they both pick him up. No, got him high up in the air. Wow.
Hickerson now trying to face 2 of these guys, and both of them are big. Hellwig at 285, Steve Borden at 255. Drop another elbow, and Hickerson, who I am certain with no question could handle more than handle his own. Oh! There comes Steve Kurt with a big stool in hand. And while they may be young and green in the business, they weren't too dumb to stay around there and get their heads beat in.
They left immediately.
You better believe that. As Kern came in and took care of what action was going in there, he got rid of Hellwig and Borden and ran him out of there. Phil Hickerson, of course, in this unofficial match, gets the win on a disqualification.
Little background information here. Jim Hellwig died on April the 8th, 2014 at age 54 years old. Sting, as Pat, you watched All In, and he was in a coffin match at 64 years old. He was born on March the 20th, 1959. Phil Hickerson, Big Phil, the King of Jackson, Tennessee, was born on October the 4th, 1946, age 76. Now, they had been in the Memphis territory by this point for a month or two. This second video, would you say light years ahead of what we saw last week?
Light years may be a stretch, but a little bit better. They could move a little bit better. I wish Chris was here. I know he's a big Phil fan. But yeah, they were kind of getting with it. I mean, just boy, bad on the mic though. But and maybe that's just because they weren't from the South.
All right, yeah, no, and I never saw anything except the gimmick got over, but Steve Borden became one of the greats. He really did. There's no way around that. David Linville says, I think even Steve Borden would say Jim was kind of stiff to work even as a tag team partner. Good to see Steve Kern could make some guys take notice. That's interesting as well. Jeff Frog Wheeler says, Phil and Dennis got me introduced to wrestling. My great-grandmother would kick ass if we made any noise. She'd get mad and cuss the TV. And
God rest her soul.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of grandmothers did that. As this is, I call this moving on. It's kind of like early stages of careers. This was several years before this team ended up in WCW or WWF. They went to Bill Watts after the territory here. Now we are going to talk about somebody born on March the 24th, 1964. He's 58 years old. He debuted in Memphis in 1989. His name is Mark Calloway. He debuted in Memphis as the Master of Pain. Later, of course, he became probably the most recognized gimmicks ever. And before I pitch to this video, have you seen, I will ask you this week, that deal with Phil that I just showed? Obviously, you saw the Lance Powder thing, the deal with the Blade Runners and Phil. Had you ever seen that before?
I had not ever seen that.
The thing that we're going to go to right now with the debut of Mark Calloway as the Master of Pain. Have you seen that?
I have seen that.
And we're going to go to it right now from Memphis Wrestling 1989. As Greg Wayne said, I refereed his last match in Memphis, and we are going to go ahead and see who's refereeing right now. This is early on in Mark Calloway's career in Memphis as we watch on Talking Memphis Wrestling.
9, he's supposed to be 325 pounds. My goodness, here he comes. Calls himself Master of Pain.
Yeah, that's right. Master of Pain. Because where I've been the last 5 years, you have to know how to handle pain. And I know it better than anybody. I've been in the Atlanta State Penitentiary. And I'm not ashamed to know it. I went up there on a bad rap because two punks jumped me in a parking lot. And now they're pushing up daisies. And let me tell you, Jerry Lawler, whatever you call yourself, it doesn't matter to me. Like I said, names aren't important where I'm from. But I tell you what, Ricky Morton sent me here, and I'm going to do a job for him. And brother, if you get out alive, you'll be thankful.
Master of Pain. Don't know his name. Not sure I want to. Out of the Atlanta Penitentiary, he says, where he's been the last 5 years. He's big, I can tell you that. He looks mean. He's pounding Rodney Napper with a big telephone pole broad arm. Rodney ducks under. That was a good move by Rodney, but this time the Master of Pain grabs him, power slams him down to the mat. Ooh. That big right forearm again. Rodney's head into the turnbuckles. Leaps into the air, drops down with the boot. Rodney Napper. Body slam. The Master of Pain just sits down on him. Right hand. Well, this guy just doing pretty much what he wants to against Rodney Napper. He's got him out height. He's got about a 1.5 foot height advantage on him, and over 100 pounds weight advantage. There's a cover. 1, 2, 3. That's it. So the Master of Pain, our first look at him here on Championship Wrestling. And he wins in 1 minute 8 seconds as he defeats Rodney Napper. Rodney. Oh, I'm surprised Rodney is able to move after that. Rolling over toward the ring apron now. Referee Jerry Calhoun making sure he gets out of the ring all right.
There you have it. Another time that somebody... Wrestling is not as easy as people think it is, and these guys are just brand new and the first time on TV and that sort of thing. And it's not how you are at the beginning of your career. It is a year or two in and what kind of success and how much money they've made. And we'd all say that Mark Calloway is one of the all-time greats as far as making money and a gimmick that's memorable. Your thoughts on that? That wasn't that great.
Well, it wasn't that great, but it's kind of like basketball. You can teach them basketball. You can't teach them to be 6'7". But he was moving. I tell you what, I'd never seen Rodney Napper before. I guess he kind of was a, TV kind of underneath guy, but he could move pretty well. But I think the Undertaker. Didn't they just kind of find that gimmick so he wouldn't talk so much?
I don't know if that's the purpose. I always heard that it's just a gimmick that Vince McMahon always wanted to do, and it fell in place with finding a real Undertaker and Percy Pringle. It just all worked. All worked. It's just one of those things and one of the brilliant deals they are. Now, we saw early in his career in '89, we saw how green the Master of Pain was in his debut match. We'll look at Steve Austin, Stunning Steve's debut promo and match, and we'll compare them on Talking Memphis Wrestling. Pat Trammell, Randy Hills, and Adam Dunn is producing, and we'll watch that right now.
Danny Davis is going to be on his way to the ring here in just a moment, and he's going to be battling Stunning Steve Austin, see if we can get Steve over here. Steve, if you don't mind, Steve, and Jeannie is with him. If we can get him over here for just a moment. This man has been named Rookie of the Year by Professional Wrestling Illustrated. That's Jeff Jarrett was named Rookie of the Year some time ago, and you have just been named Rookie of the Year.
Exactly. I am the Rookie of the Year for 1990, and things have been going real well for me and Jeannie. But what I want to talk about, the only reason I am here today, the only reason I am in the Mid-South is because of that Southern title that Jeff Jarrett's got around his waist. Now, I think Jeff Jarrett is one heck of a wrestler. He's a great athlete. But when you look at Stunning Steve Austin, you see a man with the tools to do it all. I've done a lot in the short time that I've been in the sport, and I want people to start looking at me as being the greatest wrestler ever. And I don't think I'll have any problem getting that belt from Jeff Jarrett.
Well, it's a tough belt to get. It's a tough belt to hold. So.
Well, let me tell you something. Stunning Steve Austin, he's the greatest, he's awesome, and you're fixing to see him in action right now.
Exactly, so why don't I just start the match right now?
All right.
Would you like that?
Let's do that. Steve Austin, Stunning Steve, with Jeannie in his corner. Oh, my goodness. Oh, we don't even get the bell wrong, and Steve Austin jumps Danny Davis back there. I was trying to figure him out during the interview, and he's got all kind of confidence. Let me tell you, he's a rookie, the Rookie of the Year, and he says he wants folks to look at this. Danny Davis has got the shoulders down. What's Jamie doing? Jamie's over here talking to Jeannie. Count of 1, 2. Nope, you're a little bit late on that one, Jamie.
What's that all about?
I don't know. Danny held those shoulders down for a 15 count. But Jamie had been distracted by Jeannie back over here.
Well, certainly Genie can be a distraction.
Yeah, that's
Jamie
true.
better keep his head in the ring and referee the match. That's his job.
Exactly. And, of course, Jamie, a youngster and a young referee and a new referee, so he's going to have to learn that. There was some hair pulling there by Steve Austin. Stunning Steve has yanked Danny Davis down to the mat. Danny just told Jamie Dundee, hey, pull my hair. Jamie said, no, I don't think so. He didn't see it. Well, he didn't see it. There's some hair pulling again. That's difficult to see. Yeah, he pulled hair. We could see it from our angle. I guess, in fairness, Jamie was blocked. He could not see that.
He's out of position, though, a lot of times. And I know he's young, but he needs to really work on that. He's out of position on the holes.
Yeah. All right, Danny Davis fired into the ropes.
Nice backslide by Dan.
Down to the mat, the shoulders. And Jamie's over here talking to Genie again. Now he sees the shoulders down. He gets a 1 count. Boy, Danny Davis got to be getting steamed about this. He's had those shoulders down for about a 20 count now. And Jamie has been distracted both times.
Genie obviously doing her job, but Danny Davis certainly has done his. He has had Stephen Austin down twice.
Yes, indeed. And, as big a guy as Austin is a much larger wrestler than Danny Davis. You got to take your advantages when you got them against a wrestler the size of Austin.
Austin thinks he's got Danny where he wants him right now. Going right back to him. He's going to put him into the ropes.
Oh, drops Danny over the rope. Danny bounces back into the ring. Steve Austin feeling mighty good. Genie cheering down here at ringside. Danny just lying there in the ring. There's a cover by Austin. Count of 1 or 2. Oh, Danny wraps both feet around the rope. That stops the count. Austin is unhappy. He said, come on, count 1, 2, 3. Jamie is telling him he had his feet hooked over the rope. Not just hanging on the ropes. He had them hooked.
Stunning Steve, relentless in his punishment of Danny Davis. Just strength on strength. Power slam coming up.
Right out near the middle of the ring. Stunning Steve Austin. Said something to the crowd. I don't know what. Danny hooked him down. His shoulders are down. Again, Jamie's over here talking to Genie. Danny's got him for a count of about 9, 10, 11. No, by the time he gets there, Steve Austin's able to break out of it. Jamie says, just a 1 count. That's all.
I can't believe that.
I can't either. Jamie, that's happened 3 times. Jamie is just going to have to pay more attention to what's going on in the ring there.
That's absolutely right. You've got your first job as referee is to make sure you control the match.
Sure.
Unfortunately, that's not happening.
Not happening at all. Steve Austin. Steve Austin really has been working on Danny Davis since he's been able to gain a bit of an advantage. He has been unrelenting. He has been after it. Danny fired into the turnbuckles. Oh, he moves out of the way. That's a good veteran move. And there's where the rookie shows up. As far as Steve Austin is concerned, he made a mistake. Danny Davis trying to take advantage now. Using the right hand. He's popping him with a fist. He was warned about that by Jamie Dundee. A clothesline. Danny Davis celebrating a little bit. I'm not sure that was a good move. I know Danny felt like doing that, but you need to keep going on your opponent. Boy, he snapped him down there. He's got him covered. And again, Jamie's over here.
He turned his back on that, Dave.
He absolutely turned around instead of going over there and starting the count, and he's over here talking to Genie. And now it looks more like it's not just so much distraction as Jamie just... Here's Eddie Marlin. Eddie Marlin calling for the bell and calling Jamie Dundee out. Let me see if I can get a microphone over here and see what's going on. The match has stopped.
Talk to you till I'm blue in the face. You wasn't ready to referee. It was quite obvious. It is obvious that you're not ready to referee. You wasn't ready to referee. What do you mean I'm not ready?
And there you go. Little information. Steve Austin. By the way, little technical stuff to tell you. When that video came from the clip side, when we do video from the right side, we cannot talk over it. Our microphones are not working. Now, the next video, we will be able to talk over it. So just have that in mind. Steve Austin was born on December the 18th, 1964. He's age 58. He debuted in 1989. Somebody asked at 89. Do the math, Pat. He was born in December of 64. 84, and this was in 89, 25 years old.
26 years old, yes, sir.
And then Danny Davis, Danny Briley, let me check with this. He was born in June the 30th, 1952. He's 71 years old. So go ahead and give your thoughts of that match. And let me just say before I let you talk that no knock on Rodney Napier, but he was not a full-time wrestler when Danny Davis was a established wrestler, probably started in 78 or 79. So he had wrestled every week, every night for 10 years. So Steve Austin had that advantage. Everybody talking about how great Michael St. John and Dave Brown was. I like the deal with Jamie. Somebody said worst referee in the history of wrestling, and that was a story they were telling with Jamie. I thought that was all good. I want to get Pat Trammell's thoughts on that right now.
Well, I thought it was a really good match, and I'll be honest with you, Steve Austin was a lot better worker at that point in his career than I thought he was. I mean, he was, you didn't, in the WWE guys, and look, the guys made more money than we could spend. But he didn't. There was not a lot of technical wrestling in what Stone Cold did. But I mean, he could move, and I know that was one of his first places. I mean, he's talked very openly about, how I think the territory was down, is how little money he made, but how he slugged it out. And but I mean, he could work then, and I think he was married to Jenny at the time, or close to it. But Danny Davis has had a fantastic career in wrestling. I mean, he and Cornette did OVW, and I think he still does developmental work for WWE. It was good to hear Michael on that. I mean, I just thought that was a pretty good match, and the Jamie angle was a humorous part of it. And who knew young Jamie would show up and with Wolfie D bring the crowds back.
And that was just in '93, so it wasn't that far. Jamie could always talk, and Jamie always had the instincts to be a wrestler. He wasn't a great wrestler, but he knew how to do. Jamie was just great, and he knew how to talk, and he knew the psychology. He was just great. I mean, great. He really was, and that team was over. And let's see, Stone Cold had a really bad neck, and he eventually, after a match with Owen Hart, he did. And, that's the thing, and that's a debate we can get into. And, Pat, you can help me with it. Look at the matches that we watched on All In the other day, and I want Adam to just briefly put up the All In graphic if we still have that, and I think we do. But if we can go ahead and put that up, and we saw Glass, and we saw this and that, and we saw everything. And you look, how much of that kind of crap, and I know the Hell in a Cell match was crazy with The Undertaker, but that's exceptions. And Steve Austin had some crazy thing. We saw, it was almost a stunt show, and I enjoyed it. Worth my money. I enjoyed the show. But to say, boy, it was better in the Attitude Era, it was better in the Attitude Era. But that's me at my age now, and Pat, close to my age, thinking that. So obviously, I think it's a disservice, Pat, and come to us, Adam. I think it's a disservice when you say, when it's said in a negative thing, well, Steve Austin didn't do much. Steve Austin drew more money than anybody in the history of wrestling up to that point. Just amazing, and still culturally a big part of society, and Stone Cold and the Bird and all the things that he do is just amazing. My thing is the flipping and flopping and the not selling and all that crap don't mean nothing. What means something is believable work. And then when somebody gets over, like he stumps the mud hole in you as he did later in the Attitude Era, and that really looked like crap when he did that, but he was over, it didn't matter. Do you agree with that little rant that I did? Adam probably should have put a Randy's rant, and maybe he might need to change it to Pat's rant right now. Let's see where Pat wants to go with this.
I'm not going to rant. I'm too controlled. I'm too mature to rant.
Mad at me the other day. Don't say that. Now I'm picky about being mean to you because I'm thinking I am producing compelling TV and the people liked it. And I thought I heard you worked my ass. Your feelings weren't hurt. You were just little show business. I'm exposing your shit right now. But let's talk about Steve Austin. That's why people listens to this show as we analyze.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all about, I think about, and I watch some of those old matches, and, I mean, they look pretty tame to me. And I mean, late 60s heavyweight championship matches and stuff that I like to watch. But, they look pretty tame. And, there were people in other territories that thought Memphis was over the top. I mean, I heard Jerry Jarrett say, he got heat at an NWA meeting about all the blood and all the stuff going on. So, wrestling isn't like football and baseball. You play by the rules there, and they'll change the rules a little bit, but the rules of wrestling have always been the same. What puts people in the seats. So you have to do what people want to see, and give young Tony letter writing to Randy Hales at 15 years old his due. He put 81,000 people in the seats. So.
Hey, now Al Tuttle, put that dang thing on there. Don't think I won't go off on Al Tuttle in just a minute. I ain't going to laugh about it, Pat. That's the one thing when you try to work, you laugh. And people don't believe it like that. Look at that Al Tuttle from Georgia.
I'm not working.
He should be at church or something. If Pat's too mature to rant, what does that make Randy? That makes Randy a wrestling business guy. And as I look at 90% of the wrestlers, I don't consider them wrestlers. I don't consider them wrestling business guys. They're performers. They're characters. They're sports entertainers. Now, that's a rant for sure. That's a rant. Now, PJ says one thing will happen when Michael's not around, Randy and Pat fighting, and Michael is not here to stop him. Michael hadn't. Now you shut up, Panetta. I'll turn on you. I'll turn on anybody. Hey, I'm trying to make a serious point around here to say, and even though I don't want to pick on modern wrestling, we see stuff right in front of our eyes on these videos, and those are real professionals. Raised a time when the business was protected. They were proud of the fact that they were athletes. They were fighters. They weren't actors. The people now think they're actors. And that's not so bad thinking it, but going out there and saying it in interviews and different things, it's a bunch of bullshit.
I'll tell you what, in all seriousness, I will tell you what is really, really to me, and somebody who, I'll wake up at 2 this morning and I'll either listen to Dutch or Cornette, or I'll watch old matches till I go back to sleep. The thing that today's wrestlers could use that they will never get is the difference is they don't work 5 nights a week. They work once every 2 weeks.
And in the Memphis territory, 5 nights a week was a slow week. That was a slow week. It was usually 6 nights a week, twice on Saturdays, and sometimes at least once a month. You work on Sunday and have 7 7, and a lot of the spot shows they'd work a opening single match, a tag match, and then work a battle royal, and they've worked 3 times. It's unbelievable. Put PJ's thing, and I want to disagree with PJ because I think she's wrong about this. PJ's last comment, Adam, if we can get that up there.
Where did you work? How did you work twice on Saturday?
TV and then the town that night.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? Memphis
Yeah,
TV every Saturday morning, and then either Nashville or Jonesboro that night. One thing will happen when Michael's not around, Randy and Pat fighting, and Michael is not here to stop them. First of all, if Pat says something stupid, I don't give a shit if Michael is around or not. I will say something about it and have done it 100 times. And Michael is always professional, and he just totally ignores it. He hadn't one time tried to stop it because he probably believes the fact what I'm saying when I'm getting on Pat, or he knows I'm working one of the others. Then we'll go ahead. PJ, I just disagree with you there, First Lady of Team Hales. Now, Al Tuttle, let's see if he's going to make me mad again. Let's put that up there. And we got to move this thing on because we're past the hour in this show.
Thank you for coming to my rescue, Shane.
Hold on just a second. We'll go to Shane in a minute. Let me run the show, Pat. Al says, go ahead and read what Al's saying. I want
Nowadays, they can fall through 3 tables from the top of a ladder and make a comeback the next minute. You're absolutely right, Al.
And it's absolutely stupid. Shane says, once a promoter, always a promoter. Randy putting butts in the seats. And I'm trying to build this show. You dang straight I am. You daggum straight. I'm trying to make this show as interesting as possible. Jeff Frog Wheeler says modern wrestling is not believable because there's no story. Great athletes, but not believable at all. And the main reason it's not believable at all is that everybody's open the fact that it's a work, that takes cooperation, because everybody thinks this is a show. I'm as guilty as anybody talking about that for sure. Thank you, Shane. I appreciate it. And I called Shane this afternoon, Pat, because I know there's going to be some weather in the state of Florida as the hurricane is near and going to hit. And I said, y'all expecting anything? By the way, Al says the bloodline story, and there is a in the rant, I got all excited. Hi, Michael Butler. What is going on? That you're right. There's a lot of good stuff and good stories going on for sure. And Al is a big fan of the bloodline story, which I am too. Michael Butler saying hello, and we will go into early Jeff Jarrett. And so let's talk about Jeff Jarrett real quick. He debuted in 1989, the son of Jerry Jarrett, the grandson of Christine Jarrett. His step-granddad was Eddie Marlin. Jeff Jarrett, born July the 14th, 1967. He made his debut in 1986. He's 56 years old, and he was, even though I missed it, he was on the Brandon Baxter Explained. I tried to go back and find it, but it wasn't on my DVR, the All-In, the Buy-In show, and Jeff was on that doing a promo and getting a great reaction because Jeff is the old-time heel. It was a starting point. He was around that he used to pull the ring, and I used to ride with him and help him put up the ring and pull the cage. I used to ride with him. We would always stop at the Waffle House. Pat's favorite place.
My favorite place.
Adam, what we will do on this is a 4-hour video, and depending on time, we might do more. But the big angle with Dundee and Buddy Landale and Jeff and Jerry, and they brought Lawler back through this, the last sellout at the Memphis Coliseum. So play this, and when that's over with, stop it. Then Jeff's first interview, solo interview, we'll see that. And it was years before Jeff was great on the microphone, but we want to see that historic angle one of my favorite angles of all time. Central Standard Time, it's 8:04. I'm Randy Hills. He's Pat Trammell. Adam Dunn is producing this show, and because he wasn't here last week, I certainly want Adam to be a audio and talk about what the Jeff Jarrett start and the angle. And so, Adam, I want you to join us audio-wise. Al says prayers for us here for Florida. He wants us to pray for where he is because we were right in the middle of the hurricane's path of right now. So everybody pray for Al, pray for Shane, pray for Florida. And Greg is saying, didn't Dundee and Landale bring Jeff Jarrett in the business? I'm not going to respond to that because we'll just watch the video. And Pat, our microphones will be on. Okay, our microphones will be on in this match. Our microphones will be on in this match. We'll watch it right now. And Adam, I want you to pot your mic up. Here we go.
Team action, Dave.
It'll be one fall 15-minute time limit match. Introducing at a total weight of 419 pounds.
Pat, how much do you think Jeff weighs here?
Oh, about 100 Jeff, about an inch taller than me. I bet Jeff stuck it in there about 160.
150 pounds, young Jeff Jarrett. Now we see Bill Dundee and Nature Boy Buddy Landale. In your eyes, do these guys, I know this is before your time, how old were you, Adam, in 1986?
About Landale's robe as to the quality of it, but I noticed it shedding.
I would have been one.
So I am sure after the fact you have seen this, but didn't Landale and Dundee, as Dundee's taking off his jumpsuit, Buddy Landale wearing a robe, did they not look like stars to you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No question.
David Johnson starting out against the
David Johnson, folks, could take a ass-kicking big time. Absolutely big time.
Out here. Let's go.
By the way, Shane Russell was watching. I don't know if he came in late or not, but we opened up, as I told you we would, with the Lance Russell party video. Did you see that, Shane? You didn't see it, and Adam still has it queued up. We're going to watch that again, so let me know if you saw that, Shane. Michael Butler says Jeff 150, and we all agree with that. This is just Hills getting heat. This was in like February or March 86. At the end of 85, Dundee with help beat Lawler in a loser league town, and Lawler was gone. This is Jim Jamison. Is there anybody, I'll ask you, Adam, first, of all the video you watched of this sort of thing, was anybody beat up more and took a better ass kicking than the late Jim Jamison?
Body slam. Dundee didn't just body slam him. He threw him
Jameson.
down.
Right.
He did, right in the middle.
All right, I'll send you a note while you ask me that question. But yeah, definitely during, there was different guys during different times. As far as the tag team goes, probably Rough and Ready. And then later on, more in my time frame, you had guys like TD Steele. That was kind of every week you knew they probably were not going to come out on the winning side.
We're doing a little technical business right now, and Adam, just instead of me typing it, I'll say it. At the end of this, I will stop it, and then I will restart it. So we're good.
You called it right.
Jeff Falk Wheeler, I graduated in 84. This is when
Johnson and Jamison. Dundee holding him down right now.
Explain Jeff's comment.
This is when this was going over every Monday.
All right.
But Dundee right back at him. And
Dundee, man, his stuff looked good. And look at the face of Jim Jamison. You needed this, and you don't have that in today's wrestling at all, because you needed to get talent over on television by the stars winning, and on both sides of the fence, the Hills and baby faces, then put them together and draw money and sell tickets.
The referee running Dundee back to the corner finally.
Yeah, Adam, on this thing, we're not having to cue any. We're just stopping and starting it. So you're able to stop and start it, I assume. And I'll give you a verbal cue when I want to stop. Okay, we're good. That's the other. That's how we plan to use this one. The other video later on in the show, we'll just go all the way. We'll go all the way through because it's on the other side anyway. We'll just show the entire thing.
Yeah, Buddy and Bill were so good together.
Landell drops down on Jameson.
Coming around to the
Michael Butler commented TV5. Yep. The Memphis Wrestling was on Channel 5.
God, I don't disagree.
3 minutes, 36 seconds.
I think Coco Ware was right up there, and Jeff. Let's watch this and let's just let the announcers tell this story and listen to the crowd react to this story.
Jim Jameson and David Johnson.
They were, no excuse in that. Buddy Landell, they beat the stew out of them. Now Landell and Dundee are showing what big men they are. Oh, Johnson thrown over the top rope. Hey, come on.
Landell is just attacking the referee.
That'll cost you. Jeff Jarrett refereeing this match, and Landell just slammed him. There goes Jameson out of the ring. Here comes Jerry Jarrett, Jeff Dad in, and he nails Dundee. Nails Buddy Landell, and right back at Dundee. This is Jerry's son.
Looks real, people.
Uh-oh, Landell got him from behind. And Dundee slams him with a right, puts him down on the deck. Come on, this thing's getting out of hand now. God, Dundee's going for his eyes, Dave. He's only got one good eye in there. Come on.
A situation like that, the absence of commentary is better than anything they could have said.
Absolutely. And when I come out of this, Adam, I'll be operating the controls. I want you audio-wise to explain this too, and then we'll go with that. Here's Dutch, listen.
God, I don't know, but that's a good talk for the next for a show here in the next little while.
Beat a kid up a year out of high school, and they jump on him in there because he's trying to stop them from doing the damage they were doing to Jameson and all.
Kid just doing his job here. And then his dad comes out to help him. They know Jerry's only got one good eye, and they go after it.
And start gouging in the eye. That's the sickest thing I ever saw. I'll tell you one thing, that is absolutely ridiculous. With guys, something's got to be done about guys. I've had enough people, and I know you have too, Dave, say, are you guys just going to let Dundee take over the entire program? And the answer to that is no. Something's going to be done about it, because I'll tell you one thing. I know Marlon's going to do something, Jerry will do, and I can guarantee you this is one place I'm not objective about the thing. It's ridiculous. It's bad enough when they come out here and do some of the things they do to like Jameson and Johnson. Sure, they're their opponents. You go in there, you beat them in that, but you don't start beating them around. And then you jump on a kid just out of high school like that. Then his dad comes out and tries to protect him naturally. And the next thing you know, they're in there digging at his eye, the only eye. He's got one bad eye, and they're digging at the only good eye he had. Something's got to be done about that. That is sick, right. Sick. I've had a lot of people, Dave, and I know you've had some folks mention it to you, as to one asking the condition of Jeff Jarrett after he was...
Okay, Adam, go ahead. That is on pause now. Adam, your comments real quick. To me, one of the greatest angles, part one of one of the greatest angles that was ever done on Memphis TV. Your thoughts there, Adam?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with it. And, to Shane's point earlier when I talked about the absence of the commentary, Lance made it personal with the eye and then he shut up. And yeah, so he let them tell the story, and then the way Lance bookended it afterward with his raw emotion of how he felt about it, and just the icing on the cake was him just saying it was sick and dropping the mic. I mean, a literal mic drop before that was a thing.
Pat, was that the best performance in the history of wrestling from an announcer right there, you think?
You know, he, he was so good with timing. I mean, he was just so good with no. I've heard this before from people. Say the best announcers know when to be quiet, and 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 Lance could use silence better than anybody I've ever seen. And he didn't talk too much. I mean, I think he let the crowd go with that in the studio.
So why don't you? We're talking about coming up, then moving on, and that sort of thing. Why don't you discuss how Jeff did? Because he had never done anything like that, so it didn't look like a polished wrestler, just like a kid that was
He
firing
looked
into the eyes.
exactly
Your
like he
thought there.
was. Of what? Of what year was this? 89,
86,
86. So Jeff was 19.
something like that.
Yeah,
Jeff, by
19.
the way, let me clarify. Jeff was born in Jeff was born July the 14th, 1967. This was 1986 in February or March.
So he was 19, I guess. Yeah, I mean, he looked like a kid out there was going to look. With those guys. I mean, Dundee been wrestling, what, 40 years, 30 years by that time. Buddy Landell's on top of the game. I mean, trying to control the situation. Yeah.
Lance was so good, and Jeff did good in that. With they're just no doubt, just fantastic, unbelievable. Shane, you should be proud of your dad as you watch this stuff. There was nobody better. And Adam, I want you to put Todd Alexander's thing. Pat responded to that, and I'll basically say the same answer. It's certainly not that one, the one about the Mount Rushmore of Hills. And by the way, Lance did get fired up with the Tojo angle, and I wish I had it close, and I don't. He's asking if I had a Mount Rushmore of Hills in Memphis, who would it be? Got this show laid out today, and we're a tad behind, I think. I will do better with that question, and I can tell you right now, we will deal with that question next week. We will just right off this, as Cornette says, spur of the moment. I don't want to do it. I really don't, because I want to think about it a little bit, and Pat will think about it. Adam will think about it.
I think you can do a whole show on that.
Yeah, just absolutely. We'll have to finish with part 3 of moving on if we don't get to everybody. But we left that video where we left the video with Jeff Jarrett. This is his first single interview, and I'll let Pat be the lead on this when we come out of it. Obviously, we don't want to talk too much over Jeff as the interview's going on. It's something that comes to your mind. Both you guys can come in with that as Adam starts this video right now.
Pounced upon by Landell and Dundee. In addition to that, it brought up a couple of questions that I had for Jeff and asked him for some response. Let's take a listen.
Lance has asked me today to answer 2 questions he had for me, and the first one is concerning why I wanted to become a professional wrestler. And the second is why I wanted to get back in the ring and referee Bill Dundee's match. Well, last night when I was organizing my notes, I wanted to be prepared for this, and I was a little nervous. And well, tell you the truth, my notes began to look like a book about my entire life. So I realized that, TV time won't permit me to give you all the reasons why I want to become a professional wrestler. I can only give you a brief explanation about it. When I was real young, I woke up every Saturday morning and watched my dad on television. I was really excited about it every Saturday morning. And I'd go out in the afternoons, and my friends would say, hey, I saw your dad on TV, and I'd sort of feel proud because, you know, my dad was on television. And then, as I got older, I started going to the matches and watching him. And this is the first time I really saw that people saw him as a true hero to them. A lot of people loved him. He had a lot of fans. And up until this time, well, he was just good old dad to me. And then as time went on, I kept going to the matches, and I kept enjoying watching him. And I'd get nervous sometimes watching him wrestle, and I'd get scared. But I grew into one of his fans, you'd say. And gradually, I think I was probably his biggest fan. And at this time, well, he became like a hero to me. And I began to listen to him he had always taught me lessons in life about courage, morality, hope, love, and faith. And this is the time when I became he was my biggest hero. And that, I wanted to be just like him. He became the best wrestler he possibly could. And I want to follow in his footsteps and be the best wrestler I can. I hope this has given you a brief explanation on why I wanted to become a professional wrestler. And now to Lance's second question. Last week, a couple of weeks back on television, I refereed Dundee's match. And now I want to do it again because my father has always taught me, don't quit. He said I'm going to stumble in life, but every time I stumble, get right back up and try it again. And in our household, in my room and in Jason's room, he's my little 9-year-old brother, there's a poem that hangs in there, and it's called Don't Quit. And Dad, he wrote it at the bottom of Jason's poem that if this is the legacy he could leave us, he'd be proud. And it goes something like this. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh. When care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is queer, with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns, and many a fella turns about when he might have won had he had stuck it out. Don't give up, though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to a faint and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup. And he learned too late when the night came down how close he was to the golden crown. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt, and you never can tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems afar. So stick to the fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem worse that you mustn't quit.
Okay, we're about ready to go with our next one. We're looking forward to this.
Let's stop it right now and come back to us. I'll feel better if you went ahead and comment before I do, Pat, as we go full screen with you. Here's Pat Trammell on that first interview ever from Jeff Jarrett.
Well, I mean, that interview with Jeff was Jerry Jarrett made over. I mean, all that stuff Jeff talked about, Jerry read that stuff all the time. I mean, he believed it, preached it, everything else. But, it, again, more than that. Again, it's personal issues, it's storytelling, it's heels and baby faces, it's good and evil, it's everything that makes Memphis wrestling what it was and is today. It is, I mean, that is Memphis wrestling in a microcosm right there. That's the whole 40 years of it.
Adam, again, wants your verbal thoughts because Adam in the computer he's using now doesn't have a camera to explain the fact. I'm not being mean and not allowing him on the screen, people. he cannot be on, but that gives me chills. And I've been saying that a lot. And this is the wrestling I grew up with. And all of us, folks, we grew up in that era. So no matter, it's just so great. They were so fortunate to be able to grow up in that time. Again, you were 1 year old, but seeing this as a 36 or a 37-year-old that you are now, your thoughts?
Well, it's just like we always talk about Memphis wrestling, about it being personal and about being able to connect with people on a personal level. Just Jeff telling the story about the poem hanging up in his room, you can just almost imagine that as he's telling you the story. It's almost like when you read a book and you kind of can make the image come to mind. The way that he told the story, you could just imagine. And then, like Pat said too, you had always kind of heard some similar stuff from Jerry as well. So it was kind of like hearing an old Jerry Jarrett interview, but just through the lens of Jeff and coming up through that and just everything that happened to him. And obviously, I'm sure Randy West put together. And when he was talking about the poem, he was showing what happened to him when he got jumped in the ring by Dundee and them. So yeah, just good stuff.
I mean, it's great. He's walking him out. He's beaten senseless, and he's reading the poem, "Don't Quit."
Right, exactly. Yeah.
That is poetry, man. I mean, that's great. That is great. I'd never seen that before.
One thing I think, and I'm changing up a little bit, Adam, because it's our mission statement to tell the history of Memphis wrestling, keep the legacy of Memphis wrestling alive. And this just early career is just so important, how they establish a babyface. The match we saw start a few minutes ago, Pat, was Jeff's first ever TV match. His first ever TV match. His first match was at the Mid-South Coliseum in Memphis, Tennessee. It was a 10-minute draw with Tony Falk. And they were going with something there. And I don't know how this was edited, but Adam, go ahead and roll that.
In right now. His opponent today is young Jeff Jarrett. Jarrett is brand spanking new as a professional wrestler. He's got a lot of filling out. Okay, Tony, okay. Tony Falk got something on his mind, and I hope it's wrestling.
Lance Russell, I have been a victim of the biggest conspiracy around here. When I signed that contract to go in the ring with Jeff Jarrett, it said 1 fall, 20-minute time limit. When they announced the match, when I was in the middle of the ring, it said 1 fall, 20-minute time limit. Yes, it did. I know what it said. I read the contract. Anyway, Lance Russell, I was going to teach this boy a wrestling lesson, just like I said I was going to. I was just putting all my fancy takedowns on him, and I was really rubbing his face in that mat. Then when I decided, to really give him a beating, really pour it on, right when I was in the middle of it, they rang the bell. They said the time was up.
That's right, because it was a 1 fall, 10-minute time.
I know what the contract said.
Well, just so you know what it is today, 1 fall, 15 minutes. That's exactly what it is.
That's what I want to know. You mean this is a 1 fall, 15-minute time? What is it? Here's my friend, the superstar. Here's my friend.
If he said it was 120, Russell, it was 120. Because just like happened to him, just like happened to us, Jarrett Promotion and his old deep pockets Eddie Martin's grandfather told you to ring the bell if the kid was getting hurt, right or not?
No, he did not.
Calhoun dove down behind me and got me, be the referee, right?
All right, Billy. Now, we've been through that all one time.
Now you know where we're going. So now, all we can say is, Tony, welcome to the club, brother. And Lance Russell is the head of it.
The Shaft Club, baby.
Is it worth 5 years, man?
Hey, all right, now, you guys. 5 years.
It may be worth 5, and you'll go too with him, howdy.
It might be worth it for me, too.
If we decide to go out, we're taking you all the way out.
Well, I'll tell you this. We ain't going to run in this match, Tony. You go in there and beat him up for 9 minutes and pin him about the 9-minute mark, okay?
15
Because this punk shouldn't even be in the wrestling business.
Right, I'm going to take care of that right now.
Tony,
please do. Will you please go to...
You see that sugar hole that he had on that black guy before? Put it on him. His eyes will start bugging, and hold him, and don't quit.
Thank you.
PJ, that's the second time that you mentioned that. That must bug you a little bit. Again, my explanation is they're not playing to the camera. They're trying to make everything as real as possible. They are talking to the person they're talking to, if that makes sense. Adam, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, it's also how just the cameras were set up, and especially during this time, they had almost like the two sets that you could see, and there was more pedestal cameras than there were handheld. You didn't have that problem as much in Power Pro, so it was easier to move the cameras around, but you kind of see just the positioning of those cameras there, depending on where they're facing, is kind of hard to get them from the other angle. There wasn't a camera behind the desk shooting back the other direction. But, yeah, now, you know, they're always told to play to the hard cam and play to that because it's more of a TV production than anything else. But, yeah, during this time, you know, like you said, if the person they're facing is facing the other direction, then it was kind of more the production crew's responsibility to get the shot than it was for the wrestlers to give them the shot.
Pat, with his shirt off, does Jeff look lighter than 150 pounds there?
Yeah, he really does.
Is a really fine athlete.
I can tell you, having gone to SmackDowns and Raws and Live, those camera shots that they get when someone, maybe they roll out of the ring and they're clutching a title belt or something like that, I've literally seen the camera people tap them on the shoulder and spin them toward the camera to get the shot.
That's a good point. It does look like a real situation, not a TV production.
Correct.
And
yep.
that's what we said last week. Yeah, very good. That you listen to me, PJ. As this match continues, his first ever TV match. Get a TV angle. Tony is aggressive, going with the heat. This is very good. As Jeff Wheeler says, this looks real. And he was paying his dues.
Jeff Jarrett back on the rope. Tony Falk using that right hand. Falk back to
Al
the
mentioned earlier,
up on the middle one.
I believe this was at Channel 13 when Lawler had the situation with Mike Stark was his name, and they missed where Lawler hit him with the chair, but Lance's face in reaction more than made up for it, was probably even better.
Now I believe we're going into the finish. Let's
turn
watch.
around and walk away. I can tell you, he's got another thing coming.
Oh, nice move. He got it. Got it. Tony Falk makes one of his notorious mistakes. Jeff Jarrett is the winner.
Dundee and Landell jump Jeff Jarrett. And Falk, Gaddafi, and Pat Rose have the door blocked to prevent help from coming in from the dressing room.
They're holding the door over there so they can't get in to help Jeff out.
Any guesses of who's going to make the save, Pat?
Go.
Nope.
Them holding the studio door shut, again, using what's actually around you, that's one of my favorite things. I love that.
Yes, I do too.
What?
Nope.
Landell going with a full Boston Crab on him. And Jeff Jarrett is just at the mercy of Dundee and Landell.
Don't look at the comments on the side because somebody's liable to say it, and I want you to just naturally see who it
Whacked
is.
him with that leg. Falk, Gaddafi, and Pat Rose still
So don't
holding
look at the
door
screen.
to keep
Nobody
it up.
said it yet.
Here comes Joe.
What?
Just what we need.
What's Joe to do?
Leduc went after Dundee and Landell.
Pat just came, I see Pat's camera, and he came 10 foot out of his chair.
What Jeff Jarrett has already experienced. He is out cold in the ring. And Falk trying to sneak up. Gets nailed back down. And here comes Dutch Mantell, Billy Travis, and Leduc came in and turned it. Boy, I thought Leduc was heading in
And there's
there.
Leduc, a guy that could believably bust the door open even with three guys
Much
holding it
to our
shut.
surprise, he nailed Dundee.
Yes.
He nailed Landell. And Leduc, I cannot
imagine why LeDuc's reputation came in and really saved Jarrett.
That's
Picks
funny,
him up
PJ.
now. He's carrying him out the door.
And
As
that would have
Eddie
been good as
Marlin,
well.
Travis, and
Jeff's had a
Mantell
couple of
go.
rough couple of
Good
weeks, man.
night. Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, that is certainly not typical of Joe LeDuc that we know.
No, but I think Joe was upset with Dundee and Landell to begin with there, and
Well,
I don't
they
know.
had that little confrontation out here. If there's any way that they hear LeDuc out there, I'd like to get him back out. I'm very curious about the
Let's
move
stick
of
with it,
Joe
Adam.
LeDuc. I'm very happy that he came rolling in there. Hey, Joe. Just
to
a
that
second,
reaction
Joe.
from
I
Joe.
just want to ask you one thing. I don't want to get in any argument with you. I know that you and I have had some problems, and I've seen you beat up on some guys unmercifully. What in the world, Joe, possessed you to come in here and help Jeff Jarrett out with Dundee and Landell?
You know, Lance Russell, whenever I come to this area or anywhere in the world where I wrestle, I don't take no quarters. I don't give any. I don't mind beating on people. I don't mind hurting people. But I have never.
Not to answer that question, he was a territory wrestler, and that's how heels
And
did.
Dundee
They do the run,
and
do the blow off
Landale.
level, and come back. Shane Russell says
You're telling
that
a lot
answers
of
that.
people.
Let's put Shane's question up there
You're trying to move
real
a lot
quick.
of people around. You are not.
Oh, good. Bob Crone was
going to
Shane's
take
high
Joe
school.
LeDuc's place
He was the
and fight my
director of
battles.
Joe LeDuc.
Because Joe LeDuc can take care of his own self. Because I like to wrestle, Lance Russell. I like to fight. I like to drink beer. I like everything that's good in the world. Those big men, Dundee and Landale. You want to beat on boys? Let me tell you something. You want to beat on boys? I'm going to ask the promoter here. I'm going to ask the promoter to give you a chance to beat on boys. Because you know something, Lance Russell? When I first started wrestling, I didn't learn wrestling in the woods chopping trees. I learned in the ring. Get myself beat on the head until I understand that you don't learn how to be a wrestler in the gym. You don't learn how to play basketball in the gym. You don't learn how to play football unless you get tackled. Jeff Jarrett, here's a message from LeDuc. In the ring is where you learn.
Joe LeDuc.
And let's come out of it, Adam. Let's stop that.
With the,
And that has to be my
interesting-
a lot of great lines in that thing. I like to wrestle. I like to fight. I like to drink beer. And I like everything good in life. And Pat Trammell here on Talking Memphis Wrestling, I'm thinking it. I'll see if you agree. That was the best Joe LeDuc interview. And I hadn't seen it since 1986. The best Joe LeDuc interview I ever saw, and one of the best interviews, period, I've ever saw. That sells tickets, and that was tremendous, absolutely tremendous.
Well, it's great when you have. I mean, obviously you're trying to let Jeff sell some tickets to the young girls and all that, and everybody else too. But having LeDuc come in there is a whole lot different story than having Jerry come in there or Eddie Marlin come in there. I mean, that's an old story, you know. The bad guy turns good to save somebody. That's an old wrestling story. It's an old biblical story. It's an old classic literature story.
Now, what I want you to do, Adam, is you made a comment on the production notes, and that's the thing. Usually the first thing you write is the first thing that came through your head, and the impactful thing that was impactful for you is what you just typed to me. So explain to our audience what you said.
Yeah, just in watching that, the biggest thing that I noticed was just Joe's facial expressions. I mean, you're sitting there watching it, and you just can't help to have the thought come in your mind, you know, it's almost like it's tough for him to make a coherent sentence because he's just such a crazy SOB. But he was passionate about what was going on, but you could just literally see the crazy in his eyes and didn't think for 1 minute that he wasn't the same old crazy Joe LeDuc that he always was. But he was going to be there for Jeff and was going to take care of righting a wrong that he saw.
So at the top of the best interviews you ever seen from Joe LeDuc, Pat, do you agree with that statement?
Oh, I think so. Now, in all fairness, I've not seen tons and tons of Joe LeDuc, but I saw him in several different territories over the years. But yeah, I mean that was a seminal moment there.
Al Tuttle says, watch No Holds Barred movie with Hulk Hogan not long ago, and to his surprise, Joe LeDuc was in there, and John Young is saying he was in Hendersonville where I was Saturday. Hey, Randy, how big was Joe LeDuc? About 280 pounds. What was it he used to do when he would take an axe and cut himself? He would take an axe and cut himself.
He only did that once, didn't he?
Yeah, just did once and didn't tell anybody he was going to do it. He just took an axe and cut himself. I mean, as simple as that, John. As simple as that. And I just made an executive producer decision. See if you guys agree. We have more stuff we want to get to. This is a 4-hour tape, and I haven't previewed it, but it's Jeff's career. And I think what we need to do for the next however long it takes us, show 1 or 2 clips a week from early Jeff Jarrett. Do you agree with that, Pat?
Sure.
How about you, Adam? I think it's just Jeff Jarrett's story. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Like I said, we have a bunch of source material there to go with. And I think time-wise, we're doing pretty good to be able to get probably our last 2 videos in as well.
I think, I don't know if we're going to get both of them in, especially. Do you think that I should try to upload on the left side of the Rock video and just fast forward to when he comes out and not show that other stuff? Because this is 17 minutes and it's 42 after now. We're not going to have time for both. So do you think I should do that or just cut the Kurt Angle video to next week?
You can try that. We can, if you want to do that while we show the Kurt Angle video.
Okay, let's skip to Kurt Angle's first appearance at TV5 Wrestling in March of 1999. That's a good idea, and that's what we'll watch right now. And I will try to get us queued up on the next video. So here we go.
Kurt Angle is going to be headed this way for action.
Angle graduated as graduate of Clarion University days. He's won 6 national titles as Angle. Won the World Championships in Atlanta.
All right, Bruno, leave us alone here. He's also
won the gold medal in the Olympics there in the 96 Olympics. There he is, the Olympic gold medal winner, Kurt Angle.
Now a part of Power Pro Wrestling.
It's time to get drunk. It's time to represent. Tell the bell ringer what time is it. You ain't the bell ringer. You in the house. Oh, boy. We're over here ringing the bell. Mississippi in the house.
Here comes Kurt Angle. Leave us alone.
Got that right.
Here comes Kurt Angle right here.
Let's see if I can get around and get a word from Kurt.
Now, Bruno, you stay out of it. Quit ringing the bell.
Yeah, Kurt Angle, hey, welcome, Kurt, to Power Pro Wrestling.
Great to be here.
Good to have you.
You know, one thing I want to say is this is my first appearance here on Power Pro Television. And it's great to be down here in Tennessee. And up at the WWF, they've been talking to me about how tough it is down here in the Power Pro circuit, so I'm really looking forward to the challenge. And in 1996, I won the Olympic gold medal, and I represented my country, the United States of America. Great. And I proved to the whole world I was the best, the very best. Well, now it's 1999, and here I am in the pro ranks. And once again, I'm going to prove that I am the very best here in the pros. And you know, I got down here on Friday. I came down here on Friday, and many of the wrestlers have been speaking their minds, stating that I should stick with the amateur ranks and stay out of the big time. I don't think so. I have a little message for these wrestlers. Nobody tells Kurt Angle what to do. That's right. And nobody, and I mean nobody, gets over on Kurt Angle. So when I get in this ring, I'm going to prove to these guys, I'm going to end this match as quickly as possible because, one, I am the very best. That's right. That's right. I am the best. Let's hear it. And like I said before, I don't like to waste any time. And these guys, they're not worth the time.
Kurt Angle, 96 Olympic gold medal winner.
I'm out here.
Kurt's living in Memphis now.
Me and Randy Hales. We've heard enough of you. We're not taking on you and Randy Hales.
Bruno, all this bell ringer stuff, and you're in the house.
Thank you for ringing the bell.
All right, that's
Finally.
enough, Bruno.
That's quit.
Hey, come on.
You told me to ring the bell. Now once.
That's like I'm frustrated. No, we're not going to do that. Just leave it alone. Hey, look at this. That's a 3 count.
That was quick. Ring the bell again one time.
I don't want to.
All right. Ring the bell.
Hey, are you going to take on me and my boss? Are you going to give me a red hill the main event here that we want? After being all right,
look, I about had it with you. We may pick you up and throw you out of here, but we're not going in there in the main event.
No, we're not going to wrestle, Bruno. We're announcers. That's what we get paid to do. Right now, we're getting paid by Brandon Baxter and not by you and Randy Hale. I know what's happening.
So that was Greg. That was Kevin Lawler in that yellow jacket gimmick. Just real quick, 1 minute, Pat, and I will say this. He did come across as a heel. I gave him the entire interview, but the tone. And I told him, I want you to be a babyface. That was his first interview ever on a professional wrestling TV show. He got better. He was just way too cocky. The match was short, which it should have been, just with less than a minute. That I want you to tell the people what you thought about Kurt Angle's debut.
Well, I thought it came across as a little bit of a heel, but I mean, he was saying positive things about how he wanted to prove himself and all that, but guy's just a natural ass.
We're going to the last video of the show, and I didn't have the 17 minutes to do that. So it started with clips of Lawler winning the unified title, then went to a Lawler Dundee interview. The debut of Flex Cavana is coming up on Talking Memphis Wrestling. And real quick, Todd says one of the original Memphis Wrestling crew as far as office. Did Eddie Marlin or Guy Coffey ever work for Power Pro? Eddie Marlin never did, and Guy Coffey was never an office guy. And for his booking or that sort of thing, he ran the merchandise table and did different things. But when Jerry Lawler was at TV, he would come to TV, and when he wasn't, when he was on his exit for Power Pro, he did not come. We want to watch the video picked up right now, and we'll play that right now.
Hey, Corey Macklin's the man right now. Okay, Laser, let's do it. Right here today, it's a USWA Tag Team Title Match. First introducing the current holders of the USWA Tag Team titles. Coming in today at a combined weight of 441 pounds. From Australia, the superstar, Bill Dundee. And his partner wrestling out of Memphis, Tennessee, here is the King, Jerry Lawler. Lawler and Dundee, the current holders of the tag team titles. Their opponents today coming in.
Did you like that ring announcement, Adam?
195 pounds. From Memphis, Tennessee.
Lawler and Dundee made it exciting.
I did, especially see Lawler sticking his head in there a couple times.
Here we go.
Watch that. USWA from the islands of Hawaii. Here is Flex Kavana. Flex Kavana. We're ready for action.
Remember, we were not allowed to say he was the son of Rocky Johnson. I like that deal. They made that important. That was great.
Brian Christopher Flex Kavana.
Dave, real quick before we get this match started, I just wanted to come over here and introduce you and introduce Lance and introduce all the fans to this man right here. This is Flex Kavana, baby. Oh, yeah. Now get ready. Jerry Lawler, Bill Dundee, I heard what you said. This man heard what you said. You said that you make up for the lack of big muscles with your ability. Well, you make up for the lack of big muscles with your big fat mouths. And me and Flex are going to shut up for you today. And we're walking out of here the new USWA Tag Team Champions.
You know, it's as simple as this. It's very short, quick, and simple. We're very naughty by nature, and we're very violent by decision. You know what? I'm done talking. Get ready, because here we come.
There we go. Headed
There
for
is
the ring.
the first
Flex
professional
Kavana
wrestling
from
interview
Brian Christopher, you know
of
him well.
Dwayne
You also know
Johnson.
the champion.
What did you think,
the
Mr.
superstar
Bramble?
and the king. This one has the makings of a real match here for the USWA today. Tag titles are on the line.
Really authentic, like
We also got a little edge put on it with Lawler and Dundee
I like that
making
Lance
their
stood up
comments
to
about
kind of get a better listen
the
to it
lack
while
of
Dave was
mental
interviewing him.
abilities of their two opponents and turning right around, not being the shy and retiring one. Too sexy. Brian Christopher says you make up for it with your big
Am I
mouth.
correct,
That's
Adam?
what you do. I'm looking forward to this one, Dave.
Yes.
Oh, ought to be a good one. Lawler starting for the team of Lawler and Dundee.
First television match. This has been just a fun show. Absolutely.
Some of the fans
Yeah,
talking
I
about
believe he debuted
Dundee
the Friday
used in the
before
match.
this, I
It
want
was
to
a
say,
little
in
shock
South
last
Fulton,
week at some of the
Tennessee.
things that I saw going on as they won the title.
Yes, sir.
We'll see what happens here today.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Then I believe wasn't his first TV match against Tony Falk, or his first single match may have been against Tony Falk.
Isn't everybody?
And I mean full tilt is Brian Christopher as he handled Lawler and Dundee consecutively, and we haven't even seen that big strapping guy that's
Ronnie, you got to give Adam Dunn producing, who we missed last week. We made it through it, but man, this is great. I'm producing a little more than I normally do, but as far as directing is exactly what you would say. But this is working out today as we've changed the show as it goes on, and I think that's fine to do. Thank you, Julie. Easy money.
As they go for the tag team titles. Well, now there is something that maybe could be described as an attention getter for Brian, as Lawler just dumped him, slammed him.
If we
right in the center of the
go
ring.
over, it'll just be a couple of minutes.
So successful. That was kind of a wake-up call as Lawler beat him to the snatch and grab, picked him right up and slammed him down. And back they tangle it up. Collar and elbow, back to the corner. Christopher pushing the head back to whip diagonally across the ring. Hooks that arm, and I mean, he hip tossed him right out in the middle. Christopher looking strong.
Lawler a little disgusted. The referee checking with Brian to see what happened, because he has been informed by the team of Lawler.
You know, I've been
Dundee
looking at my
Christopher
notes
pulled
and not
ties.
the
That's what
screen.
Dundee is
Has
saying.
Flex Kavana officially been in the ring yet, guys?
They tie it up again. Back in the corner. Lawler with the advantage.
No.
He whips him across the way into the turnbuckles. Oh, Christopher blocks. Hey, that short clothesline took him right down to the mat. Dundee had wandered into the ring. Brian said, hey, I'm ready with a super kick anytime you're ready to head this way. Dundee back out on the apron.
Referee Bill Rush trying to get him to settle down now and stay right with wrestling. I don't know that that's going to be the case, not with the personalities involved.
Fans on the front row chanting super kick, super kick. They want to see Bryan unleash one.
I want to see his partner get in there and unleash one, see what he looks like.
That's what Lawler has just said. Said, hey, why don't you go to the corner? Let's see what your partner can do, huh? I said, okay. Here comes Flex Cabana. First look at him on USWA Wrestling on TV.
What an impressive looking athlete.
It's no great observation. It's pretty easy to see when you stack him upside the King in there. But as Lawler said, there's no substitute for that experience and mental abilities. And Lawler puts a shoulder and right away, I mean, that's a jumping jack. Knocked him down, he popped back up before he could turn around.
Well, he lets Lawler go by a couple of times, sets, takes him down, and immediately back on his feet to catch Lawler on the rebound.
Oh, yeah! Looking good.
Dundee's livid. Yeah, screaming he pulled his hair. He did not.
5'7", 207 pounds. The toughest son of a gun Lancaster that ever came down the fight. Shane, I agree with you about Dundee, one of the best
maybe they didn't
smaller
exactly
guys,
want to see
and
what
one of the best
Cabana
period
can do
in wrestling. As
surely
PJ, I agree with you that The Rock, Flex Cabana
They
did
know
great.
that this guy can go. This is not the first time he's had a pair of tights on. There's the tag on the superstar. In he comes. He'll be tangling for the first time with Cabana.
Lawler and Dundee not impressed early on, but now that they've seen not only Bryan but Cabana, you got to wonder, would their confidence be shaken? Do they now feel, hey, these belts are in jeopardy?
Well, I don't know, Dave. We both know Lawler and Dundee, and it takes a lot to shake the confidence of these two veterans. Dundee right straight at him, and immediately he's pushed
called me in the
off
middle
and down on the
after
floor
his
again,
first
almost
down
rolls
in
out
South
to the concrete
Fulton.
floor.
He called me and said the match was horrible and I needed to take him off TV. And I said, no, are you crazy? And I put him with Tony Falk. I had him with Tony Falk on TV, and the rest is history.
Get the referee watching their opponent more closely.
Tie up. Dundee shovels him into the rope. There's a leapfrog. Comes around with a drop kick.
Went a little low on that.
Dundee down on the
that
deck.
deal,
Not
but
the
again,
greatest drop kick I ever saw, but Bob
new
Elliott
to
put
wrestling,
Dundee on the deck.
I think that
we'll
shows
talk
some of the
about
power of Flex Cabana. He did not get a good drop
debut.
kick, but
We'll talk
Dundee was
about
fairly
Austin's
close to him, and
debut.
it
We'll
knocked
talk
Dundee
about
back,
Flex
especially
Cabana,
considering
Dwayne
what
Johnson's
Dundee had been through
debut.
up until
And
the
that's a
kick
question that we will ask the panel and Adam. Pat is a one-man panel today about how you would rank the debut matches of the three people, and we've seen four, and the Kurt Angle match.
And he's got him a partner he can swing with.
God's asking.
Watch out for that left fist, Flex Cabana. Yep.
Where was
We saw Lawler do the same
Rock's
thing
dad
last week
at the
against his
time in
opponent as he and Dundee won these
1996?
belts.
I think he was partially retired. I don't know exactly where he was. I really don't. I pitched the idea to Jim Ross, bringing him in. He said, you can't do that because we're not going to acknowledge the fact he's Rocky Johnson's son. By the time, I was disappointed, by the time he got there to WWF, they had changed that completely, changed his name to Flex to the Rocky Maivia. So I hope that answers that.
You still, regardless of how impressive Christopher and Cabana have looked, you still got to say, from the outside, Dundee rips with a right hand and another one. And
Mark Calloway wrestled a part-time wrestler in Rodney Navy. Steve Austin wrestled and had a story in his match, and he wrestled Danny Davis. And then Flex Cabana had Brian Christopher as his tag team partner, and he had his opponents of Dundee and Lawler. So that's the advantage they have, and now they're getting some heat on The Rock.
They double him up. Flex Cabana into the ropes. The upper arms from both of them. Dundee celebrating. He thinks maybe it's over. Lawler picking up Cabana. The match continues. USWA tag titles on the line here. The champions.
We are going to go maybe 5 minutes over. I thought I had this down correctly, but I added 2 Jeff Jarrett videos, but I'm certainly glad we did.
Deep impression, but don't forget this guy. Here comes Too Sexy. Pounding away. Lawler taking a shot first from Christopher, then from Cabana. A little coconut crush there as Christopher hammered their heads together, and now Dundee caught by Cabana, Lawler by Christopher. Into the ropes they go. Trying to get around behind. A double abdominal stretch on Dundee and Lawler. And the referee clobbered by Dundee. Bill rushed down on the deck.
Kind of flat finish.
And Cabana holding on to the abdominal stretches. Dundee reached out, Dave, and just hammered him with that left hand.
That's one of those things we were talking about. Dundee did that on purpose.
When's the last time you guys seen a abdominal stretch? As there's the disqualification.
Right here. He nails the referee.
That was an absolute immediate submission hold.
On the disqualification. No signal from the referee,
yes,
but mark my word, that's what it's got to be. I mean, Dundee just point blank nailed him with a fist.
Brian Christopher a little premature. He grabs the belts and he's indicating they are the new champs. That would be.
I don't like how the ring looks,
Adam. Because the referee turned around and signaled the bell. Of course, it could have been submission on the.
But at least it had some kind of skirt.
Now Rush is saying. They are the winners.
Yep, they were the winners. But
yeah, the one that would come later that year and be there until the end was
I hate to see
a lot
that.
nicer
The the belts don't change hands.
But, you know,
on the
previous to this, there was either
really,
no ring skirt or it didn't even look that good.
He is hammered like that,
right. You're right.
All he can do is disqualify Dundee and Lawler, and there should be a fine attached to it, too.
Brains is what it's all about, Dave. Who's still the champions, the king and the superstar?
Yeah, well, you call it brains. We may call it something else.
I'd call it purposely hitting the referee. We got to take a break. That's all. No more.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Thank you, Ronnie. All right, Pat, real quick comments as you compare the debut matches we have, then your final thoughts of the show, and then we'll get Adam's thoughts on that match. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, you know, you can see what they all became later on in those early matches. Now, probably less so than Jeff because he wasn't physically mature like The Rock was, or Steve Austin, or the others, or certainly Kurt Angle.
Todd Alexander, Rock was living with Bruno, but not in Memphis, in Nashville, Tennessee, at a hotel. I think the Congress Inn is where they were staying. Adam, real quick, your thoughts.
Yeah, you know, the fans didn't know that it was Rocky Johnson's son, but certainly the guys all working with him did. And him coming in there, having been, if you watch the Young Rock, they kind of took some liberties, of course, with the stories. I think even on Young Rock, they kind of tell the story that he was maybe living with Bruno and Walls, which wasn't, like you just said, wasn't exactly the case. But good stuff there. You could tell on the interview, definitely kind of green. The only person tonight that really just had a stellar interview right off the bat was Steve Austin, but he had already been in World Class and USWA for a little while before coming to Memphis, USWA there in 1990. But yeah, overall good stuff.
Did you like part 2 of our new series, Pat?
I did very much.
Adam missed last week's program. As Shane says, Randy, I remember Jerry Calhoun and Frank Morrell as the main referees in Memphis. When you started Power Pro, how did you find referees? Aubrey Wayne was the son of Buddy Wayne, and he had refereed, and we went with this, and also used Bill Rush. You found referees just like you found wrestlers, you know, who's available and wanted to do as good, and Jerry Calhoun wasn't available, or certainly I would have used him, but Aubrey was just absolutely fantastic. And tremendous. Thank you, guys. It was a great show, and I am going to end the way I started. So go to the design area where you can find the pictures. And I want to remind everybody that my niece Cindy, it's her birthday. Happy birthday to you. I did this in a live telephone call. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Cindy. Happy birthday to you. I want to put up the graphic of what I'm going to do Thursday as my nephew Corbin Richardson is opening a new business, and we will put that caption up there. And I feel like I may not be pronouncing it right, and it will be from 4 to 7 on Thursday night, and it's at 2630 East Highland Drive, Suite B in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And Pat will right now tell you the name of it because I will butcher it.
Onyx, Med Spa, and IV Lounge.
And if you were leaving in Jonesboro, you would check it out. By the way, Cindy is CYNDI. That's how you pronounce it. As Al says, it's a great show when 2 hours feels like a few minutes. Everybody having good comments too. This has been a lot of fun, and we are out of time. And
Thank
again,
you, Al. You're a scholar and a gentleman. Stay safe in the hurricane.
Oh, absolutely. Shane Russell and Al and everybody around, we will pray for you, have great thoughts for you, and certainly everybody involved. And I had some comments. I kind of going to throw something. We're going to go more than 5 minutes over because this is something that I wanted to do. I want to take the words to a song, and I'm going to change it up just a little bit. The name of the song by Jason Isbell is called "The Last of My Kind." The last of our kind is what I'm going to say. And I've changed some of these words up to fit my story. I went to college, but I didn't belong. Everything I said was about Memphis wrestling or wrong. Mother said God won't give you too much to bear. That might be true here in Arkansas, but I've been a long way from here. Are we the last of our kind? Is Memphis wrestling the last of its kind? The song, I want you to go to YouTube, Jason Isbell, "The Last of My Kind." Pat, or is our generation the last of our kind?
Well, I don't think so, because that's why we're here. We're keeping it alive.
Keeping it alive. Thanks to Pat Trammell. I think Michael will be back 2 or 3 more weeks. I think Chris will be back next week. Adam and I will be back Monday on the Power Hour, showing program number 80. Again, we appreciate Team Hales, and we want to build this show and build this show and build this show. There'll be archives in YouTube. There'll be archives in Facebook. I have a lot of Facebook friends, a lot of Twitter followers. I've had YouTube followers. If you guys can share this and help me, and I posted this today, help us build this show because I'm proud of it. It is our mission, not just mine, but everybody, to continue to educate and have people enjoy the legacy of Memphis wrestling and keep Memphis wrestling alive. For producer Adam Dunn and Pat Trammell, my friend, this is Randy Hill saying good night, and we love y'all.
Good night, guys. Stay.
Talking Memphis Wrestling with Randy Hill and special guests.